Hello, everyone. Mick MMA here, and let's get right into it. I'm going to be talking about the PFL today. Unfortunately, there's no UFC this weekend, so all I have to cover for you is BKFC and PFL. I went over the BKFC video yesterday, so if you have not seen that yet, please go check it out and see what my picks are. Maybe they align with some of your picks. But anyways, let's get into the PFL business. We have in our co-main event, Nemkov versus Johnson, and we have Nurmagomedov versus Hughes. Now, I do not care about the rest of this card. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have no idea who any of these guys are, and I think the average fight fan doesn't really care either, because this is happening in the PFL, the B leagues, and PFL is can't really argue otherwise. If I'm going to be completely honest. This might be one of the biggest fights that they've ever made in the promotion so far, and will probably be the one with the most notoriety if Paul Hughes wins. But anyways, let's get into Nemkov versus Johnson. I have Nemkov KO, TKO, whenever he wants at heavyweight too. He has Fedor Emelianenko in his background. If you don't know who Fedor is, look him up. He's an MMA legend. I think he does whatever he wants to Johnson. I mean, I honestly, I think where have I ever seen Tim Johnson 18-10? Like, I don't know what we're doing with this matchup here. Betting Nemkov is gonna just absolutely smoke this guy. Moving on to our main event, we have Nurmagomedov versus Hughes. I'm rolling with Hughes. I want Hughes to win. I think if he wins, it will help add to that, the wave of the Dagestani I don't want to say hate, but ever since Murat beat Umar, let me tell you, there has been some crazy cope online, and there is a war amongst the Dagestanis and the Georgians right now in the comment sections of Instagram pages. So if Hughes is able to get this for Ireland, man, oh my gosh, the amount of craziness that would happen from this. Even though it's in the PFL, Nurmagomedov carries a huge name in MMA. So even though a lot of people won't see it, it will show up as a highlight, or it will show up as a headline of Hughes being Nurmagomedov. It'll do big. I don't think it'll do big numbers during the fight, but afterwards, I think people will pay attention to it a little bit more. So yeah, rooting for Hughes. I think Nurmagomedov wins though, if I'm gonna be honest. He's gonna be coming to the UFC any moment now. Paul Hughes should have already have been in the UFC. I have no idea why he signed with the PFL. His hype would be so much bigger in the UFC, and I think he could actually do pretty good in the 155 weight class division. Same thing with Nurmagomedov over here, but I guess Islam Makhachev is the champ, so they don't want to ever. They would never dream about fighting each other. But anyways, yeah, rooting for Paul Hughes. I think I have Nurmagomedov though. Gotta be honest, probably submission like round 2, round 3. But we want Paul Hughes gets it done. Round 1 KO, round 2 TKO, or any round KO, honestly, because I think he's definitely got some power in his punch, but I think he's not really like a blitz guy. He's a bit more of a brawler. Stay in the fight, longer exchanges type of guy. But that's just based off what I've seen. I'm going to be honest with you. I've not seen much of these two. I've seen some Nurmagomedov highlights. I saw Paul Hughes versus AJ McKee and maybe like one other Paul Hughes fight. But other than that, not much of these guys I know about. But we're covering it because it's the only thing, so it's got to be covered. Next, we're going to be going on to a tweet made by Don Davis about the fails in PFL in 2024. Building companies is really hard, with many setbacks, filled with uncertainty and pain, requiring creativity and perseverance. Most social media posts celebrate the triumphs of success, and I had a great time last week doing that PFL post. This post is opposite. This post celebrates survival. We all took hard punches in 2024 and are all still here to fight. We all had bad things happen and survived. So he's going to post a couple of the L's real quick. bad things that happened in the PFL in 2024. 5 bad things. 5. Number 1, numerous potential new investors wasted thousands of hours of our time, and time is so precious. 2, major new advertiser deal was in final contract, and then new management came in and stopped deal. 3, some Bellator star fighters complained on social media about not fighting, making PFL look like not meeting our contracts. 4, we are growing so fast with our new international leagues that costs in some regional areas are way too high. 5, major new initiative and expansion is delayed 1 full year by one of our partners through no fault of PFL. Like all entrepreneurial companies, PFL battled, navigated, and solved. PFL enters 2025 in our best position ever. Do not let others foil you, keep you down, stop you. To all entrepreneurs, you survived. Declare victory. I think it's a bit more than that, Don Davis, though. I think your numbers do really, really bad on your fight nights and all of your events, honestly. I mean, I would be surprised if the Francis fight got over 100K pay-per-view buys. Just keeping it real here, man. You don't have any, even Francis. I mean, he's definitely a star for them. Jake Paul's definitely a star. But that's the thing, you can't get your matchups. You're not going to be able to get any kind of matchups, man. I believe PFL started off way too fast. Just tried to expand as fast as they could. Let's do PFL Africa, PFL this, PFL that. Let's go PFL this country, PFL blah blah blah. We got Francis Ngannou. We have a super fight. Which, by the way, let's talk about the super fight pay-per-view division. Jake Paul was supposed to fight in the super pay-per-view fights by now. This dude signed January 5th, 2023, and I'm recording this on the day of January 1st, January 22nd. I don't know why I said January 1st. January 22nd, 2025. So he's been in here for 2 years now, and they have not been able to get him a matchup yet. I believe there was a tweet or maybe some sort of article that said Jake Paul plans to fight in the PFL this year, but I think that was also said the year before and the year before that as well. So, yeah, a little bit dodgy on as far as that goes, him getting a fight in the PFL. So far, his contributions have just been making social media posts, reaction vids and stuff, and posting Dana White hate vids and all that stuff. Just overall, as far as like, he adds a bit of it because people are going to associate Jake Paul with PFL. At least some people will, and some people won't even know that he's connected to the PFL at all because the PFL is just that small and that unknown and that much of a B league. And I think they made the mistake of just starting off way too fast. BKFC started off relatively small, and they knew what they were, and they didn't try to do too much in expanding their reach before they could really set their fan bases in. Because Bellator has at least had a little bit of a fan base. PFL just kind of came out of nowhere, and there's Bellator fighters added, but they never really ended up fighting that much, if at all. So yeah, Jake Paul being in the PFL pay-per-view super fights, which that's so stupid because Francis is a pay-per-view super heavyweight, or not super heavyweight, just a pay-per-view super fight champion. Whatever that means. If he's not the PFL heavyweight champ, who cares? He should have been fighting whoever the number one contender for the PFL championship belt was. And I guess that was Renan Ferreira. But why is it not just he's the PFL champion? I'm going to show you on the website here. You look at the schedule. You have World Tournament, Super Fights pay-per-view. You have PFL season. You have Champion Series. You have PFL Europe, PFL MENA, and Challenger Series. That's way too much. You need to simplify it. PFL fighters and then PFL season or whatever. That's it. Get rid of PFL Europe, PFL MENA, all this other stuff, Challenger Series, whatever. condense it down. You need to have regular weight divisions, not some. Nobody likes the tournament style fightings. No one pays attention to it either. No one really is like, oh, I wonder who's gonna do. Oh, the tournament. So it's terrible. It's a bad idea. Try to copy the. I'm legitimately serious. Try to copy and paste UFC fight nights and main events and stuff like that. Unironically, try to do that, and it will probably be working out much better for you than what we have here. I mean, you go to Champion Series here, and it opens up this one thing. Okay, we have this one thing in 2025 for Champion Series. Like, what is that? And then World Tournament. Like, it's so confusing. Your average MMA fan is just not going to want to pay attention to this. There's too much going on. Like, it's dumb. It really is dumb. And that's why people aren't really paying attention to it. But anyways, fighter that is very notable in PFL that a lot of casual fans know, mainly because he's fought Michael Chandler, Patricio Pitbull. Hey, at Francis Ngannou, are you aware of all the absurd things PFL is doing to fighters and putting on the new contracts? Will you ever speak up for us? I'm thinking it's time we start a PFL Fighters Union. What do you think? Not a good look for Francis, and I'm sure Francis never responded either. I'm sure they told him to keep quiet, which is, ironic because Francis has been one that has said that he is a fighter, the fighter's advocate. He wants to advocate for the fighters. They don't get enough rights and yada, yada, yada. But, a lot of Bellator fighters are saying they're not happy with the PFL. Not only is Patricio Pitbull ended up leaving the PFL, but his brother as well, Patricky Pitbull, leaves as well, and he signs with the GFL. I'm gonna make I was about to say I'm considering making a video on GFL. I am gonna make a video on GFL because of how ridiculous it is. I mean, if you think PFL is stupid, GFL is like 3 times as stupid. So, yeah, we have him signing with the GFL. It's kind of a shame that Patricky and Patricio didn't get picked up by UFC. I know they're older into their careers, but that's a thing though, is like they can be used to promote some other UFC fighters, Hey, he's a former champ. Oh, he just beat a former champ, even though it was another thing. So yeah, I think they could have used these Patricky and Patricio in the lightweight and featherweight divisions. Could have added a little bit more interestingness. Probably could have gotten maybe a Patricky Pitbull matchup versus a Moicano or Gamrot or something like that. Would have been interesting. But anyways, on to Don Davis's tweet. We are releasing at Patricio Pitbull. PFL MMA is all about opportunity. I founded this company to create new great opportunities for top fighters. PFL has and will continue to do that for all top fighters who do not want to be here. So he's definitely letting people go who want to be let go, which is good on him. But at the end of the day, he was probably, other than Francis Ngannou and Jake Paul, I mean, he's the only other fighter that can come to mind that fights for the PFL. I honestly forget about Vadim Nemkov until I see him sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, he's actually a really good fighter, that Vadim Nemkov. Other than that, I mean, can anybody really name any like big rising star names other than the main event that that's being talked about right now, Paul Hughes and Nurmagomedov? Other than them two, I mean, oh yeah, Cedric Doumbé, whatever his name is, whatever we pronounce that French last name. He had a big moment, but that's it. Like, where's that guy been? That guy should have been in the UFC. If that guy was in the UFC and they had a French card and he did that viral taking the bed through the stands and doing his little walkout with the bed with his the guy's name on it, that would have been hype. I don't think the UFC would have let him do that though, but if he did the same thing where he like chanted through the crowd and they all did that, that would have been a real moment in the UFC. But unfortunately, because I'm in the PFL, it's kind of died down now. You know, they may post highlights of it, but again, it's being posted by the PFL, so the amount of people that see it is just unfortunately just goes down, and that's one of the major problems with the PFL. They just keep taking L after L after L after L after L. Like, I don't think they've had one victory to where it was like, okay, yeah, they're looking like they're gonna be competing with UFC. If you've ever watched a PFL or Bellator event, which unfortunately watching the Francis and Renato, whatever that guy's name was, watching that Renan Frere, I was saying Renato, watching the Renan Frere fight and the Francis Ngannou fight, the PFL production is horrible, absolutely horrible. BKFC outshines it by like a couple miles. The PFL is slow. Their whole format sucks. They put up way too many useless stats that nobody really cares about. The commentators kind of suck, if I'm gonna be honest. And just overall, the presentation is just looks cheap and tacky. Not a fan of PFL. Although I am looking forward to the Hughes and Nurmagomedov fight because it's kind of the only thing going on this weekend other than BKFC, Knucklemania, which will be a much bigger event and will get much more views than PFL, at least in my opinion. Maybe Americans will watch Knucklemania more than PFL for the east side of the world. But anyways, yeah, PFL, L after L, trashing former fighters too with we're releasing him, and we're all about opportunity but also not letting you fight. I know I have Kayla Harrison in my thumbnail. Quick mention about that. If you have not seen any PFL Instagram videos, typically there's one or two about Kayla Harrison about how she has gotten beat in her last fight in PFL against that one Brazilian woman, and they like to post that anytime Kayla Harrison fights, which is pretty funny. Funny troll on them, but it also is a bad look on them. I was going to show Instagram videos of PFL promoting past PFL fighters like MVP. I think they've even shown Chandler before. I forget who else they've shown that's also in the UFC now. But anyways, the PFL just continues to make this mistake of somehow promoting the UFC even more, overreaching their actual access to what they have and what they can actually claim. And by overreaching, they're spending way too much money on stupid stuff that doesn't matter. Let's get rid of all of the extra PFL Europe, PFL, blah, 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 this or whatever. Make it all just one singular thing. We're going to have titles. We're going to have a heavyweight title. We're going to have a light heavyweight title. We're going to have a middleweight title, welterweight title, lightweight title, featherweight title, and bantamweight title. I don't think there will be a 125 division for PFL, but that's a start. Okay, you have all of those, and they're the PFL champion. They're not super pay-per-view fights. Okay, they're not blah blah whatever else you're gonna name. We're not gonna do the tournaments anymore because the tournaments nobody cares. Okay, and by the way, if they're in tournaments and a fight falls out, it just adds too much confusion. Okay. They finally added elbows in, so that's one positive step in the right direction. But other than that, I mean, PFL is just not gonna go anywhere in 2025 as far as my prediction goes. The most interesting they can do is another Francis Ngannou matchup. And they'll probably be boxing. Honestly, he'll probably do another boxing match, and then Jake Paul. But again, I don't think he's gonna fight MMA this year. I just don't see it. Excuse me. Sorry. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I hope to be proven wrong on that because I'd like to see Jake Paul fight the MMA and hopefully maybe get brutally bashed in MMA. But we'll see what ends up happening. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you notice, it's edited just a little bit. That's because I messed up on one part. And like I mentioned beforehand, I was trying to find those Instagram videos. I did not want to re-record all of this. So if it's a little chopped at that one spot, that's what it is. So yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to try to maybe add some more edits in. We'll see how it goes. I like to keep things kind of raw so you can see all the things I'm talking about, getting all of my thoughts out there and all my opinions. So yeah, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the support, liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps me out. So appreciate it. Keep it up, and I will see you guys tomorrow.